Hello there and welcome back to Teen Muscle Radio and Episode 3. We're on a roll with this. So today here I have got my good friend Jack Gadd, otherwise known to some of you as Jack Gadd Fitness. I'm sure for reasons that we will find out in this episode you know why Jack is sort of more relative to Jack Gadd Fitness. But before I go on any more, I'm going to let Jack introduce himself and give you a bit more information about who he is. So go ahead, Jack.
Right, cheers AJ. So as he's mentioned, I'm Jack Gadd, competitive natural bodybuilder. Competed last year in the MPA qualifiers and the finals. Got very surprised with the placings I took, but very happy with sort of my overall performance last year. And sort of really getting into the competitive side of bodybuilding in the last sort of year and a half to 2 years now. So all systems go at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And where are you from, Jack? Are you like from the UK, of course?
Yeah, so from the southwest of England, down in Western Supermare. I'm coming up 22 next week, and I currently work for EDF Energy full time as an electrical engineer. So.
Interesting stuff. I'm sure some viewers don't know that about you, and it's good that they get that idea. So yeah, cool. So the reason I have Jack on the podcast today is not only because Jack is obviously a younger guy, so all these people that I'm talking to are going to be people that are coming from a background quite recently of just starting weight training, getting into the gym, and then also progressing into potentially competing. This is what the audience wants to hear, and this is why Jack is here. So Jack's obviously a competitor, and he's also been very, very good at controlling his social media and gaining a following for something quite different and quite intricate, which is something that we're going to be talking about on this episode. So hang around, because you'll surely learn something about how you can benefit from Jack's experiences, and I'm sure that I'll learn a thing or two as well. So yeah, into our first topic, and as usual we start with how did it all begin. So I want to know how you basically got into the weight room, Jack.
Like most guys really, I hear it quite a bit where a lot of people who got into weightlifting, they start off quite skinny. I was one of those kids, so sort of throughout school I was never sort of big built as such. I was always quite skinny. I played rugby and football in school, but always played in a position where I could sort of hide away from any tackle or immediate work, because I wasn't one of the stronger guys. I was more fast and just skinny, so I never really took much of an interest to weightlifting until I got to sort of my early college years. When most guys go to college, you see all the guys around and they have much bigger arms and big chests and bigger shoulders, and it's like you kind of idolize it for a little bit and sort of think, I need to be a bit bigger here, otherwise I'm just going to get overlooked by everyone. So yeah, that was when it was a bit of a light bulb moment that I wanted to sort of start to pack on a bit more muscle and just get in the weightlifting room.
So it ticked over as a result of you seeing other people and potentially wanting to up your game, essentially, in college life.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I had a group of friends that we started doing a mixed martial arts. I think there was 4 of us that started doing it together, 4 plus me. And for the mixed martial arts, it did require to be a little bit bigger and be a bit more muscular, because when you're sort of grappling and doing your kicks and punches, if you've got more power and strength behind you, it worked out a lot better when you were coming up against bigger opponents, because we didn't just sort of practice against one another. We did fight against lads that were sort of a couple of years older, much bigger, about 6'5", and it was a bit daunting at the time. So if we were stronger, then it was going to be a lot better for us.
Yeah. So what I would like you to take us back to, I think it'd be very interesting for me as well. Take us back to that first gym session. So talk us through it. Who did you go with? What was the first exercise, and was it love at first sight, or?
Well, it's quite funny because I think it was me and my friends again, and I think the first exercise we did was seated easy bar curls. So we were sat on the bench.
Nice.
We had
No
our
warm
hands
up.
obviously down by our thighs, and then
Yeah.
just curling from there with an easy bar.
Oh,
And I
wow.
think about that now, and I just think that is so rubbish. So, but it was one of those things where we just got in, did some curls, did a bit of chest and shoulders. There wasn't really much to it. It was just basically just trying to get a pump, trying to show that we knew what we were doing. But everything comes as you learn with the gym. So
Yeah. Did you enjoy it? Did you
yeah,
like think,
definitely, it was
whoa,
nice
like
yeah, it was sort of nice to see like the arms like gradually grow as you were in the session.
yeah.
So it start, I don't know, a few veins there were there maybe when I was a bit younger, but yeah, it was good to sort of get in and get lifting. It did feel good, and you just felt good about yourself when you came out from the session.
That
It's just like when you do any
self-confidence.
sort of exercise, you feel good after. So
Yeah.
that's quite a nice feeling as well.
For sure. So did you, when you started, you mentioned that you went with a group of friends. Did you go with them because they had more experience with like weight training at all? Did you have anyone that you looked up to in your gym that you asked questions, and how did you basically learn about how to go in the gym and lift?
Yeah, well, after sort of a few months in the college gym, I think I then joined my local gym down where I used to live.
Okay.
So started sort of going in there a bit more, training with a few guys from my old school at the time. Basically, it wasn't really much to it. It was the same as the college gym, but a bit more. I knew a bit more about it, so we were going in and doing like the typical sort of the bro split as it's called. So
Yeah.
we were going in and doing like a session on the chest, session on the shoulders, the
Mhm.
arms, and the back. Legs weren't really touched that much
Mhm.
until a few years down the line. I will hold my hands up and say that, but no, I learned more sort of watching other people, and
Okay.
I think saying that for younger people is I'd take that with a pinch of salt, because you've kind of got to pick the people that you've got to watch.
Yeah.
You don't want to watch and sort of learn from someone in there who is doing it wrong. So I sort of looked up to the guys that were very big and very muscular, because if they are like that, then you kind of know they're doing something right. So
Yeah,
if
they're on
you
the right
can learn
track
from them, yeah,
for sure. So
definitely.
did you start? Because I'm sure there's a lot of viewers that are listening that maybe listen to Jonah's podcast as well. And Jonah started off very small, very skinny. Now, did you start off like on that end of the scale, or were you on the chunkier side?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely started off skinny. I was never sort of big through school. I never really started to get heavy until a few years down the line. So I put on a small amount of muscle and started sort of eating like tuna and rice and chicken and rice,
Hmm.
just trying to get a few more meals in, but never anything sort of properly scheduled. I mean,
Okay.
when we were at college, my nutrition was absolutely terrible. So I
Hmm.
think I was at college till 17 till I think it was 18 or 19 possibly.
Sure.
But it was so bad. I mean, in the morning for breakfast, we're
Take us
getting.
through a day.
Oh God, you ready?
Yeah, go on.
So I'd
Tell
have
us
my
all.
normal breakfast obviously in my house. So I
Yeah.
think that was just a massive bowl of cereal. I think it was like 4 Weetabix coated in sugar,
With
slammed with
sugar on top.
milk. So we'd get to college, we'd have like a bacon and sausage baguette
Yeah.
with two hash browns with it as well, because it was like a meal deal. I think it was
Oh
like you get the
wow.
bacon baguette and the hash browns for about £3.
Oh, gotta go for that.
Usually then lunchtime it was because we were students at the time, we all had the NUS cards.
Hmm.
So once you go to McDonald's and order your sort of Big Mac meal or your chicken legend meal, you usually got like a free
Free
cheeseburger free with
cheese.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some days I did alternate and got a McFlurry, but so yeah, obviously a Big Mac, fries, thick shake, obviously,
Most
because
days.
yeah, most
Wow.
days. And then sort of got home from college, and then just whatever my mum would cook for tea, and then sort of something horrendous before bed as well.
Wow.
It wasn't. I think it was a weight gainer possibly from bulk powders at the time. I think it was
Oh,
like 600 calories a shake.
incredible.
So
Now,
mm.
did you? were you weighing in? Did you gain a lot of weight quite fast? Did you find that initially, did you find you gained muscle quite fast? So would you say you were quite a good responder to the weights room?
I'd say I was a responder in going up the weight.
Okay.
But I never sort of saw progression in myself.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether that was just in my head or just something
Harsh
else,
critique.
but I never saw much with regards to my actual physique. So that's what sort of spurred me on to keep eating more.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Which I wouldn't obviously recommend, because now I look at it now, obviously progression is never going to be quick.
Mm.
You need to obviously take the time and sort of just keep practicing and doing your nutrition.
Yeah.
And then it'll sort of come over time. But no, I saw more strength quicker than I saw actual physique. But I think that's probably down to bad form, actually getting a spot instead of actually going up in the weights.
Interesting.
Which is something I see a lot of nowadays in some of the gyms that I go into. You see a lot of the younger guys, they are getting strong. Like, I wish I was as strong as them at sort of 16, 17. Obviously starting earlier into it. But if your majority of your reps are from spots, or if you're not doing the full sort of range of motion, really how fast is your progression going to be instead of doing it properly? So
yeah, for sure. No, that's definitely a pro tip to take. Just under 10 minutes into the podcast, we've already got a pro tip, and that's definitely for you guys to bear attention to the form that you're going to be using on exercises, and making sure that you're getting the right advice from the right people when it comes to form and technique. So yeah, really, really good point there, buddy. I think that the next topic I really want to move on to and delve a bit deeper into would be the transition between you coming from the gym. So you were at the college gym, you were having the McDonald's every lunchtime. I'd like to know about the transition between that stage and the stage at which you decided to compete. So how long did that initial phase take for you to build the physique that you thought, yeah, okay, I'm ready to diet down and hop on a bodybuilding stage in some small trunks?
Mm-hmm. And some tan as well.
And some tan.
But throughout college, it sort of stayed that format the whole way through. Not really too bothered about the nutrition and lifting side of it. I just lifted weights and enjoyed life through college.
Nice.
Which I would sort of recommend to a lot of kids coming up nowadays, to just enjoy lifting before worrying about properly tracking nutrition. Obviously, don't go mad. Just sort of enjoy your lifting years before, like for a good few years before you then get into it. I would definitely say that.
Eat protein, lift weight.
Yeah, exactly, and then don't go overboard. So keep your cheat meals down to a minimum. Well, not too much anyway. But so I didn't really sort of start properly building my physique until I think I was 20 years old. I just started my apprenticeship with EDF, and in that first year, I'd taken back up MMA again. Okay. So when I was sort of home from travelling to and from London, I would then go and train MMA because I wasn't really too interested in lifting. I sort of gave it up for an 8 to 10 month period.
Oh wow, okay.
I'm not sure why. I just sort of found a bit of a love for the mixed martial arts side.
Okay.
I have a tendency to go from one extreme to the other, but I've always found my way back to lifting weights again. So
interesting.
Once the MMA then died off again, I sort of then properly got back into lifting weights again. I seek out a personal trainer at the time because I just got back off of holiday.
Was he local?
Yeah, he was local. Yeah, he was local to me. He competed in bodybuilding shows before as well.
Okay,
so that was also handy because I knew sort of as I'd sort of been getting back into lifting, I knew that was what I wanted to do. I'd sort of been researching.
How did you find out about bodybuilding? Like, did you know? How did you find out it was like an available sport for you to? Because I don't even think that some people don't know what bodybuilding is. Like, I've got asked the question a few times about what I lifted when I competed in a bodybuilding show. Like, they think it's what I lift in the gym type thing. They don't quite correlate that bodybuilding is not powerlifting or weightlifting. So, how did you find out about bodybuilding and that it was a sport that you could compete in and that you'd be
Uh,
comfortable competing in?
I think obviously I knew a little bit about it, but I think everyone's watched Pumping Iron, haven't they?
Oh, okay, yeah,
So
cool.
it was. I think it was quite spurred along from that because I watched that a few times in like 1 week, and I just thought this is really weird, but I want to give this a go.
Mhm.
I saw all the guys on stage, and it was just like I want to give this a shot. I think I can do it. But obviously, I did know at the time they weren't natural, and it was
Ah,
obviously an untested sort of competition that those guys were competing in. So I started to research a bit more
mhm.
into the natural federations because I knew about like the Mr. Olympia competitions. I sort of aspired to like, at the time it was like Jay Cutler. It was just like, yeah, I can get a
Were
50
those
back.
the guys you saw first? Was it Jay
Yeah,
Cutler? Was
it
it
was sort of your mainstreams like
nice?
the Jay Cutler, the Phil Heath, the
Very much
Ronnie
the same
Coleman.
here.
I used to just endlessly watch YouTube videos of Ronnie
Oh,
Coleman deadlifting and doing
day
front
in the
squats of
life.
£1,000. So
Yeah. Did you ever
yeah,
buy Flex magazine as a?
no, I didn't actually. No,
Ah,
never
I
bought
used to
Flex
have that
magazine.
every month, and I was convinced Phil Heath was natural. But anyway,
You do,
so
they do.
so you continued on, and so you found out about bodybuilding through like pumping iron things like that. So
Mm.
more of the unnatural side of things.
Yeah.
Now, so you've met this PT. What changed when you met the PT? Was it your training or your nutrition, and what did you learn as a result?
Everything really.
Okay.
I went from going to do like an unprogressive program,
Mm.
so not really sort of training to any sort of format or anything. So I started doing an actual scheduled routine with progressive overload and everything else like that.
Nice.
I followed a diet plan as well, which was sort of set to my calorie goals for bulking. So I
Nice.
think at the time it was about 3,000 calories,
Okay.
like normal protein, fats, and carbs
Mm.
macros. But sort of once I'd finished, I think it was 12 weeks with them, I then went on to sort of start doing it a bit more myself.
Okay.
But I got into a habit of where I was weighing on the scales, and if I wasn't going up like a few pound or like like at least in a week a few pound, then I got quite upset and started adding more food into my diet. So I think because this was in the later stages of my apprenticeship, I started training down in London where I was staying,
Right.
and
Okay.
also back at home as well. So traveling back and forth, just
Busy
sort of,
days.
yeah, just eat. We're not. We did stay down in London for the sort of the week, but then we'd come back on the
Ah, I
Friday,
see.
have the
Okay. Okay.
weekend, then
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
back again. But it got to a stage where I think I was smashing at least like 500 grams of protein a day. Um,
That must have
so
been so expensive.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, 100%. It wasn't too bad because with the apprenticeship we got sort of our expenses back, and I think
Oh,
if we
really?
didn't do that, I'd definitely be so skinned.
Yeah, you would.
Because
500 grams.
like most of my protein sources come from sort of full eggs, yogurts, chicken. It was pretty bro.
Yeah, yeah.
When I was sort of back home, I was eating. I think in the morning it was about 6 eggs, oats,
I did that. I did the whole eggs thing.
and then I think my half turn and like half two meals was like a whole pack of mincemeat and rice with. Uh,
Oh
oh,
my god. A
no,
whole
this
pack
is
of
so bad.
mincemeat.
This is so bad. I used to take olive oil with me in my ISO bag,
Oh my god.
like an olive oil thing about that big, and I
Yeah.
think I'd used it up in a week because instead of ketchup, I used olive oil as my dressing.
Oh my
That when
god.
I think about it now, that is so bad.
Oh
'Cause
wow.
it was so dry. It was like I just put some olive oil on it,
Oh my
and
god.
that's
We're
terrible.
really we're really finding out the caloric intake of your
Oh God,
previous gaining phase.
I forgot about that. That's so
Wow.
bad.
Man,
But luckily, that.
it's more like I'm just imagining the quantity of a whole
Mm,
packet of mints in a Tupperware.
mm,
And were you convinced at this point that like putting ketchup or anything tasty on it would sacrifice your muscle gains or
obviously, yeah,
obviously, okay.
cool.
What
Yeah,
about vegetables and fruits? Doesn't sound like there are a lot of them.
not
No.
really. No, not at all.
That's
There
a
wasn't
shame.
much room for
My
vegetables and stuff.
digestive
So
tract must have been an interesting place to be to be living.
no, it wasn't a friendly
Absolutely
diet.
horrendous.
It wasn't good. But obviously, apart from those meals as well, there was weight gainers, and like I think before bed, because I was so stuffed from force feeding during the day, it was just a slice of peanut butter and jam on toast because I just physically could not fit anything else in.
Nice.
But a few months down the line, a few months doing that, I got to I think January 2015. I
Yeah.
went from 12 and a half
Recently.
stone to 14 stone in the space of about 6 months, and I was maintaining on about 5,000 calories, but I was pretty big, as in
You had a
fluffy.
high body
I
fat.
mean, on my Instagram, I put like a couple throwback Thursdays of
Okay. Yeah,
how
I've
um,
seen them.
how the chub days were.
Mm.
So they're on there if you ever want to see them and look at my fluffy face. And
They.
that was
It's interesting, because I want to just quickly, really quickly touch on this because this is an interesting discussion about when you are young. I almost think that there is some merit. Now, don't take me on this because obviously there's an element of you don't want to get too far out of shape, but I almost think there's some merit in getting almost a bit out of shape when
totally
you're
agree, mate.
younger, because if okay, so I just put a picture on my Instagram. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will have Instagram. So I just put a picture of what I'm considering the top end of the conditioning I'd like to be at in a gaining phase. I'm currently 167 pounds, so 167. At the peak of my gaining phase before my first show in 2014, I was 188
Hmm.
pounds. So I was 20 pounds heavier. And I almost think that I put on the even though my training probably wasn't in check, I think I put on the majority of my tissue as a result of just staying in a decent surplus
Yeah.
and almost just just pushing the set point a little bit higher,
Hmm.
not to the point where you're actually, considered overweight, but to the point where you probably don't have abs and things like this. So I think, for teenagers and younger people, it's like almost you've got to sacrifice just the aesthetically pleasing elements
Yeah.
of staying a bit leaner for the fact that you can potentially build a lot of
Gain a lot of
tissue.
muscle. I'd say that I've got a lot of people asking me that lately. They're about sort of around the 17, 18 mark, and you're you're in your prime,
Yeah,
as it says. You're in like a real muscle building prime.
yeah,
So why not just sacrifice the abs and just build some good quality muscle? Just give it a year or 2 years just to really sort of build on your physique, and then cut from there.
just be
Because
patient.
you'll be miles further ahead than the rest when you look a lot bigger and leaner when you do come to cut. Yeah, they may have abs now, but they won't have sort of your sort of bigger chest, bigger arms. So I
Yeah.
definitely think like what you said,
It
push it
is
a
a
bit
really
further.
interesting topic, and I
Mm.
know that there's people out there that we know that get a little bit heavier in the off season and come back to a bodybuilding stage or through a fat loss phase, and they look insane. They look
Mm.
like they've put on a good amount of tissue, and you almost look at them and like, are they defying science? Like, why are
Yeah.
they going so far above what's optimal? But
Mm.
they're coming back down and looking much improved.
Yeah, it's that
So,
gap between the prep and then prepping again.
mm,
Really only probably got if you're like doing it in the October and then prepping again in February, you've only got like a sort of 5 month gap before for building muscle and then prepping again. So
yeah, for
like you
sure.
said, if you're having a full year off, you're gonna put on a lot of tissue. So
Yeah. Interesting. Cool topics. And I think before we go too in depth on one, we're going to move on to our next thing. So, Jack had a very successful year last year. We've talked about how Jack has found out about natural bodybuilding. So now I'd like to sort of touch on what happened and how you initially started in 2015. So I think we've got up to January 2015 already. So what happened in January 15 for you to realize that, okay, now's the time. I'm ready. What was sort of that turning point, and what happened in order for you to say, "Yep, I'm ready. Let's go"?
Yeah, I didn't really have like a turning point for like weight or anything to say I need to get to this goal weight and cut. I just knew I was pretty not overweight, but I was pretty chubby, fluffy now, ready to
Oh, okay.
start cutting.
Yeah.
And I knew, I think I had a look on some articles before I started. I think it was Lane Norton's article on bodybuilding.com,
Great.
which was how to start a cut. And I sort of planned my cut around that, really. So I sort of gave myself 18 weeks, as it sort of said in the article, to give myself enough time to get on stage and get competing. So I sort of started to research a bit more, like Eric Helms, Alberto Nunez, basically all the 3D Muscle Journey guys.
Nice.
There was someone in my gym as well at the time who had competed in the Natural Physique Association a few years back.
Okay.
And he'd actually won the British Championships as well. So to have him for advice the whole way through my prep was great. I mean, I used to message him all the time, asking him sort of specifics on this, that, and the other. So it definitely helped with the cut. So I think I gave myself 18 weeks, and I went from, I think it was 14 stone to, it must have been 11.1. So I did drop about 2 stone, 13 pounds, something like that. So,
yeah.
But that was pretty tough. It wasn't too bad doing it myself. I'd made a lot of mistakes, but I learnt from them.
Okay. What mistakes did you make, do you think, in your first time preparing for a show? What were they?
Definitely say my top 2 was cutting calories low too early.
Okay.
So I went from maintaining from about 4,500 calories to then I dropped straight to about 3,300.
What would you have done instead, like in hindsight, if you'd have started again? How would you have started the cut?
Well, I think giving myself 18 weeks, that's quite a long time. So I probably would have only dropped about 500 calories off and just went from there.
Yeah.
I was never really monitoring scale weight either, but I do now. So I could have then at least seen body fluctuations and if I was actually losing weight instead of sort of jumping on the scales once every few weeks just to see if I was different.
Were you monitoring the mirror more than the scales?
Yeah, definitely monitored the mirror quite a bit. I sort of stood in the same position, same lighting, and just sort of did the same couple poses over and over and analysed it on a sort of fortnightly basis.
With pictures?
Yeah, with pictures, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely.
And what was the second?
Second mistake was my cardio. I put in way too much, way too early. I only sort of found out on my second prep that cardio was more of a tool instead of a necessity. Sorry, that didn't make sense. It was just a tool. I used it as a necessity instead. So, like, I immediately put cardio in. I think I was doing about 3 hit sessions and like 3 steady states.
Just straight off the bat.
Yeah, not straight off the bat over a course of the period, but it was more random cardio than structured.
Okay.
It was like I'd suddenly go for a half an hour run one day and then go do some rotes and then maybe do on the rower. So the cardio actually itself, it wasn't consistent as the second prep was. So I learned a lot from my mistakes, basically. That's the best way to say it. So use cardio as a tool. I'd say definitely. If you're still losing weight and you're on a comfortable amount of calories, then cardio isn't really required until you sort of feel you're getting hungry.
Definitely, I totally agree with that. What would you find? Because obviously you came up to the first show, so the qualifier, and you did fairly well at the qualifier. I think you were very, very happy with where you placed and everything like that. So what would you say were the 2 things you most enjoyed about that process? Like, which parts of it did you think, okay, yeah, this is it, like, bodybuilding's for me? Because obviously now, like I'm speaking to you now, I know you very well. I know for a fact that you love bodybuilding and you want to do this and you want to move into the future and potentially become a pro. So what really hit you hard that you were like, yeah, this is something that I really love?
I think it was the ability to transform my physique into something that I'd never seen before. Because I'd always said to myself years back I'd never have abs, and then suddenly I had abs. I'd never have like quads with separation, and I did. So it was just more proving myself wrong, and it was. It was more about actually learning about myself and about another topic, which I was always interested in. I mean, I've learned a hell of a lot over these last year and a half about bodybuilding, nutrition, the science behind it. I think that's my main sort of the reason why I've carried on doing it, because it's just a constant learning process. And I can hold a conversation with someone about bodybuilding for hours.
Yeah, same.
It's just something that I love talking about and I love doing. So, and I think that will never go away. So,
yeah, I think you can like if you're ever looking up for someone that loves bodybuilding as well, you can tell because
yeah,
I've had so many conversations with people that say they like bodybuilding, and I start talking about it, and I can tell their face is just slowly turning to like.
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you don't love bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Like the people that love it, like they're just back and forth. I've had so many conversations.
It's weird how you like. I've got a couple of friends that you can talk about macros with for like a straight 2 hours. I don't know how. I don't know what leads on to what, but I think you just end up talking about how much fat is in a Mars bar to a Mars protein bar in the end. So relevant stuff like that. But
that's so good. So yeah, that's really really good. Those 2 points really. I both agree. I agree with both of them, and I think that if anyone wants to start bodybuilding prep, then I'd say you just got to be doing it for yourself. Both of the things that you mentioned there are both just relative to yourself, which I think is really important because you didn't really mention like, it was the trophy, or it was the the likes on Instagram that I got on my picture afterwards. It's nothing like external, it's all internal factors that are influencing your decision making when it comes to you saying that bodybuilding is something you enjoy. And I think that's so important because the people do it for the wrong reasons. I've seen it more often than not that people are getting into the sport as a result of wanting a certain status or on Instagram or a certain
to put like competitive bodybuilder next to your tag. You should want to be doing it. You shouldn't just want to put it just for a tag.
That's where the success comes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Seriously, like if you want to be successful, you want to win shows or even place, you've got to want it like really really badly. You've got to want it.
Yeah.
And
you don't do 18 weeks of prep to not want to win.
No way, buddy. Totally agree. Cool. So you've done your first show. What was the experience like for the actual day itself, on the first one itself? How did you feel? Was there anything that you thought that you were uncomfortable with? Describe it. Like, how was it?
It wasn't too bad actually. It was because I'd never known what to expect. I got a lot of information from Matt, who was the MPA champion in my gym, about what to expect. So I had a lot of nerves calmed going into it because he helped me with sort of the tanning tricks, posing in the gym. I mean, every sort of quite last detail, like even like the pump up, it was very sort of. He helped me a lot with and calm my nerves. So
nice.
I went into the day, obviously not knowing what to expect, but just went with the flow. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing the friends you can meet as well. When you're in the pump up room, no one's really your friend until you've sort of finished and go, "Oh mate, that was knackering, wasn't
it?" Yeah, I love that. I love that bit. That's the best.
So it's definitely quite nice once you finish competing to then sort of start talking to everyone, and you sort of make friends forever, really. I'd definitely say that it's good if you ever want to make friends, get into the sport, if you like that as well.
The best thing about it, people think that it's all, flexing and pushing people out of the way. There are people like that, and you will meet some. There will be one or two out there that are just maybe not so nice and just want to be there, get home and say that they've won type thing. But the majority are so nice.
Yeah,
that's definitely one of the things that really, really made me fall in love with the sport. Was the first time that I went to a BNBF show, and I know that you went to MPA. BNBF, MPA are all lovely, lovely shows, and you'll just meet some incredibly nice people backstage. And incredibly nice people that are just running the show as well, because they love it as well.
It's the effort that goes into it, really. Everything, like the trophies, the photos. Yeah. The photos come out, they're top class. So but the whole day itself, it's all built for the athletes.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's good.
So after your first show, you came second, and what happened as a result of you coming second? Did you get something? What was it?
Got a nice trophy, yeah. And I got a British finals invite as well, which I think the top 3 got it at the time. They got British finals invite, which I was just surprised to get into the top 3, let alone get the invite as well. So it was nice to sort of add the touch onto the 18 weeks of prep, then to get the chance to do another 20 weeks of prep.
I see. That's the question I was literally about to ask.
Yeah.
So 20 weeks was the gap between the first one?
18, yeah. I went on holiday the week after.
Okay.
I think I gained about 2 days post-show, I gained about £10.
Wow.
Came back from holiday the same weight. Okay. So I didn't restrict myself on holiday.
Yeah.
I just used like a plan and sort of said to myself, don't overeat, and then come back a normal weight, because I did know I wanted to compete.
Yeah.
That's also a thing as well. If you're ever going to compete, try not to organise a holiday the day after, because it would just end in turmoil.
Especially not all inclusive.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, shout out to a certain person who did that. No joke, no harsh things intended on the Team Muscle Radio podcast. So you came back from holiday and you had however many weeks left of prep, and you decided that what was the deciding factor? Because I know something else happened as well. What was the deciding factor? You obviously wanted to get leaner and do well at the British finals. So what happened as a result of that?
I knew I could get leaner, so I throughout my first prep, I'd been following Tom Mack for a long time on his Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. Because it was a lot of motivation for my first prep. He had a lot of good things on his Instagram about dieting, sort of volume foods, which is crucial when you're prepping. Yeah. Different things, and he actually helped me with my peak week as well. I sent him a few messages, and he didn't obviously have to respond, but he did help me out.
I've seen that initial comment you made on one of his photos about peak week, and I'm imagining that's where the communication started. I've seen that comment.
Yeah, because I did message him, then he private messaged me, and just we went through quite a bit together. Right. So I was worried about water loading and vitamin C and all that. And he sort of just said it's all nonsense. So, but we sort of went through and talked through it. So I knew Tom was obviously a good coach at the time. So I did choose Tom to coach me through the next 20 weeks of my prep. Which I'd sort of definitely recommend to anyone who is competing to definitely get a coach. It's the second eye to look into you. Mm. It's someone to tell you if you're lean enough, if you're not lean enough, someone to sort of actually make you realise if you're not lean enough or you're not ready. He will help get you there. So, I think for the first 6 to 8 weeks we reverse dieted from my stage
up.
Yeah, so sort of it was basically bringing up just carbs and fats, and we brought them up by quite a bit, and I actually dropped weight in the same time. So I think we did a 6 to 8 reverse diet, lost all the holiday post weight gain, dropped some more few pounds as well. So I started off a lot leaner, so it was in such a good place already on higher food. I think I was on 1 cardio session as well. Wow. We were really doing, and I think it was only 4 gym sessions a week, so we weren't really doing a great deal, which was good for me because it was a bit of relaxing time after the previous 18 weeks that had just gone. Yeah. But yeah, the whole way through prep, Tom was brilliant. Helped me with the macros when I needed to take him down through peak week, on my nerves, everything. And it paid off on show day because that was when I took 3rd in the novice British finals, which I was bloody over the moon with. It was my first year competing. I'm well happy. So
yeah, for sure. A question that I'd like to ask is, do you think you'd ever be able to do a contest preparation on your own without a coach?
It's a difficult one. I know Matt Ogus has just done his, and he turned out all right. But obviously, as he's gained the knowledge over the years from the 3D Muscle Journey guys, and he's been able to take that onto his own knowledge. But I still think I would definitely have a coach.
Yeah.
Just for accountability to myself, someone to look into you to say if you're lean enough or not. And it takes your edge away from being worried about yourself. You don't have to endlessly search links and articles on like YouTube and Google to what you're going to change your macros to next, what cardio you should be doing.
Yeah.
You get told to do what you're doing, you do it, you get leaner.
I think that's a very good point. I think for most initial competitors, when I did my first show, I had a coach, and I think it's very, very beneficial for you to learn the process prior to even considering doing it yourself. And in 2015, I was very worried that I wouldn't be able to do it myself. However, I think I'm on the opposite end of the scale to you. I think I'd struggle to do it with a coach, purely because I think I'd be always thinking about, I'd do that differently. Yeah. I'd do this, I want to do this, and I suck at being told what to do. And I know that for a fact. Yeah. So I know that actually having someone tell me what to do would stress me out more than me messing it up. Mm-hmm. However, I do think that, and a shout out to Ant Sidrick and Harry Johnson, who received many a half-naked photo from me throughout my bodybuilding prep, because I think it's very integral to have someone give you a second eye.
Yeah, definitely.
Because at quite a few stages in my bodybuilding preps, I had a severe case of prep brain, where you think you're not lean enough. I've got friends heading to shows at the moment that are very close, and they're, I'm not lean enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. So I think for younger competitors and teens out there that are listening to this, it would be beneficial for you at least to have a source for you to go to say, look, here's my photos for this week, this is my weight, what do you think? Mm-hmm. Because that is going to really chill you out and hopefully send you in the right direction.
I think you learn as well having the coach. Yes. Tom taught me so much about the nutrition and diet and training. I think that was the first time I'd ever done an upper-lower split. Yeah. Was when Tom put me on that program, and I just learned so much in the past 6 months than I'd ever learned in my whole sort of career of lifting weights and eating obviously the foods. So. Yeah,
awesome. Some definite pro tips there, and a really good insight into your experiences in 2015. So that's awesome. So moving on to our final topic today. So if you've been listening for this long, then thank you very much for hanging around. And this topic is definitely worth a listen. So I'd like to speak to Jack, and I'd like to ask you more about how Instagram and how social media has how have you grown so quickly, and how would you recommend that teenagers that are looking to use Instagram and things like that to potentially create products or even monetize Instagram to an extent? So what is Instagram for you, and how has it influenced things that are going on in your life at the moment?
Just eat Reese's cups and put them on Instagram. It'll grow your following by 1,000 a week. No, in all seriousness, I think by Instagram, when I did my prep for the second show, it wasn't big at all. I didn't really put much attention to it. That was when I sort of properly started doing If It Fits Your Macros with Tom. And started putting a few pictures on Instagram and stuff. I didn't really put any selfies on or anything.
Sorry to interrupt, how much did your Instagram grow from now? From like when you started, because I remember you had like under 1,000 followers. I remember when you messaged me. It was
the end of my show, so it was October to now. I think I had it must have been about 600 followers.
Yeah,
come October.
Because before Christmas, I swear you.
Definitely.
You were just over 1,000 or something.
And I think it's now at about 8,000 something.
Yeah, heading towards 10k, which is a very. And I'd like to add that Jack doesn't do the whole follow everyone and they follow you back type thing. Jack has built a natural following through Instagram, which is something that's actually really difficult to do. So hence why we're doing a whole topic on it, is because he's grown a very raw, very real Instagram following, because you can tell by the level of engagement on his photos. There's a lot of comments, there's a lot of people that are asking him for recipes. lot of people that are asking him for training and nutrition advice, which is actually very beneficial for Jack to potentially monetize things in the future. So yeah, describe like what Instagram is for you, and like how like you obviously enjoy doing it, right? So
Yeah, I mean, it really sort of started obviously at the end of the second prep. Once I finished the show, I sort of started to, as I was bulking, macros were a bit higher, so I sort of started to have fun with food. That was basically what it sort of came about. I started making quite big like flex bowls and like pancakes, nice meals, and sort of taking a decent photo of it and then put it up on Instagram. And with Instagram, it comes with the type of hashtags you use, whether people see it. If you're not using a popular hashtag, the people won't see it, and it will just get put to the bottom of the list. And if like you follow it, and if that photo gets like a decent amount of comments on, a good amount of likes, it then sort of goes straight to the top of the hashtag list on like the most popular postings. And that's, I think, where you can build a real good following, because it stays up there for a good day or two. And it all depends on the type of content you put out. I mean, I started to put out a lot of fitness tips. So I was quite into sort of writing about prep and how to sort of monitor the weighing scales, how carbohydrates are good for you, and just sort of using a lot of my photos from prep, which I'd never released during that time, as like the main photo, having like a massive thing underneath about the fitness topic that I had chose at that time. And also alongside that, I started to practice flexible dieting quite a bit.
Yes. I'd like to touch on that really quickly about. I want to ask you how you've dealt with haters on Instagram, because I know there was a specific moment in time where there was actually like a whole Facebook post almost dedicated to the fact that you were eating the wrong things. How do you deal with someone? I'm imagining that you get comments and maybe messages on a regular basis asking you why you're eating this and why you're eating that.
Every few days asking how I eat these type of foods and how I eat them and stay lean and stuff like that. But a lot of it, a few months back, I did like a full day of eating to show my whole day of what I eat, because really I'm not going to post every meal because it's not that interesting. I'm only going to post like the most interesting meal of the day, which is usually my last meal before I go to bed. And I think they get a lot of hate on it because it looks bad. It looks worse than what it is. I mean, it's quite easy to make a tower of rice cakes or a tower of pancakes, which is made out of whey protein, oats, almond milk, and then top it with some sort of strawberry sauce and a few bits of chocolate, and then people go, how do you eat that and stay lean? Because it's got chocolate on it.
Yeah. But
obviously it comes to that age-old question of staying within your calories, making sure you hit fiber, macros, micros. Before sort of any treat or anything is added into the day, I know that I'm going to hit my fiber. I'm going to make sure I have at least 5 to 6 portions of fruit and veg. And all my macros are going to be hit as well. So I think
more than you had when you were a bro as well. Which
exactly,
is funny,
yeah, exactly.
Because you're actually eating healthier now than when you had 4 Tupperwares full of olive oil, which is clean, of course, and rice and a whole packet of mint. So if anything, your body itself is probably in a healthier position now.
So I'm stronger now. I'm sort of leaner now. I'm bigger now. Eating the foods I am. Practicing flexible dieting, making sure I eat the fruits and the veggies and the quote-unquote bro foods as well.
Yes.
And I'm stronger as well. So I can squat the same as what I could at 190 pounds, and now I'm at 175, 176. So it just proves that it does work. You just need to try it instead of sort of slating something before actually doing it. Give it a go and see if it works.
A lot of the people that really don't like If It Fits Your Macros or a flexible approach have not tried it, and that's what I don't get, is because if someone, and we've had this chat before, if someone offered me on a plate and said, you know what, AJ, if you eat like a bro, if you eat like this, and your results will be better, I can guarantee you it. I've got a study here. here's the study that proves that this is way better, way more optimal than what you're doing currently, I'd happily do whatever it takes to either optimize muscle building or present a better look physique on stage. As long as it wasn't sacrificing anything massive in my life, I'd still do it. Why?
Yeah.
Because I really care about bodybuilding and how I do, to the point that I'm sort of willing. I'm all about balance and stuff, but I'm willing to sacrifice things that
of course.
other people might not want to sacrifice.
I think a lot of people get racked up in the fact that everything's got such high sugar in, and basically sugar is the enemy. You shouldn't have any. But really what it comes down to is, like, if you're in a calorie deficit and if you're eating a lot of sugar, you're still going to start losing weight. There's no end about it. I mean, even if you're having a real sugary meal, which has fats and proteins combined with it, it's still going to slow down that digestion process. And won't really spike insulin as quick as it would
That's
do.
the whole topic.
But that's a whole nother topic, I think.
It's a mad topic that is just almost worth a whole podcast to clear up that one. But it's nice to see that you're able to explain that in a very adult way, and also describe how people can definitely deal with any issues that people might sort of ask them when it comes to flexible dieting, because I know that a lot of my clients, especially ones that are preparing for bodybuilding shows, I've had people talk to me in check-ins about how they've been on their lunch break, they've got a Mars bar or a packet of, I remember even myself, but yeah, they've got a Mars bar and a packet of like sweets or something, or a packet of sweets with them, and they're eating them, and then people are like, "Wait, aren't you dieting for a bodybuilding show?
Like,
Why,
aren't you dieting? Shouldn't you be restraining yourself?
You're not allowed that." And they suddenly think that they're a bloody, bodybuilding prep coach.
I used to come in from the kitchen when I was prepping, and my girlfriend, I'd have this bowl, which it looked so bad and just looked like a diabetes nightmare, but I think it was massive amount of yogurt at the bottom, cereal, a couple like ice cream wafers, bit of ice cream on the top, and then like strawberry sauce. But really the only bad thing in it is a bit of ice cream. Well, bad. But they sort of look at you and think, are you not supposed to be dieting? Why aren't you dieting? But she's following flexible dieting, and she's doing the same, so she understands.
People think that bodybuilding, they've got this age-old idea about routine, structure, meals, prep, packets, Tupperware, so anything out of the ordinary. I know even when I have oats and I have something different, my mum will go, "Wait, are you having that? Like, is that yours?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm just trying a new ice cream."
It's a Snickers Mars bar. It's a Snickers protein bar.
It's just a new thing that I'm having a try of. It still hits my calories. So, it's things like that I think people just maybe are a little bit not so clued up on, but it's something that everyone will find out eventually, and I think one day or another people will. I think there's more people transitioning over to flexible dieting, which is awesome. And that's all a good thing. So if you haven't already, then obviously open your eyes. Feel free to. We'll leave contact details for me and Jack below. So if you do have any questions about flexible dieting or how you can implement it, then we will leave contact details below, so you can shoot us an email at any point or contact us on any social media, and we'll happily answer a question for you. So Jack, obviously we're coming to quite the end of this podcast. We're about 50 minutes in, so I'd like to sort of round up with basically what are your goals and what does the future look like for Jack, Gadd, and give us an insight as to what you want to achieve over the next time period.
Okay, so I'm not going to be competing again until 2018 now. I will be honest, competing last year it put a massive strain on sort of my body, my weightlifting and everything else. And I sort of felt it was a bit harsh on the girlfriend as well to compete again next year, because you become a zombie and you have to change your meals about because it doesn't fit your macros and different things like that. I just wanted a full 2 years off to gain some good muscle, come back 2018 a lot bigger, and leaner if not than last time. So, that's the competing plans. With regards to sort of the Instagram side of it. I've built up my following now quite a bit.
Yes.
I've always been interested in supplements. So over like the course of prepping, I tried about 1 million protein bars, whey protein products, like pre-workout powders. And I've sort of built a business around it, which is in its very near startup stages. It should hopefully be coming out in the next week. It's just going through its website design phase now. It's called Supsbox. So what it is, it's a subscription box company. So every month, if you subscribe, you get sent out 10 plus samples of like the newest sort of products on the market.
Okay.
So if like Grenade brought out a new brand of carb killer, that probably most likely have the carb killer featured in it. Probably look to do the Mars Snickers protein bar at that point. And it's all sort of the sample sachets. So I've not sure if you've had this problem before, but when I've sort of bought whey protein products from different companies, I've bought like a large bag of like 2.5K. And it tastes sometimes just like utter rubbish. And the same goes for pre-workout powder. You buy a whole tub and you find it has no effect on you how many scoops you take. Yeah. So the products, because I've been around the industry for a little while now, for a couple of years, and I've known the products that are on the market, I can sort of handpick them, the best ones to go in the box. So no one's sort of going to get like a duff product, which won't be recommended by me.
Sure.
That's the sort of the business goal behind it. So with that, you also get a recipe of the month included in the leaflet that comes in the box as well. Nice. So it'll be like a recipe created by me. Like it might be like a protein pancake. It might be like just a simple mug cake. Simple things that people may not know about, which just can be quite useful.
That's cool. That's unique for sure.
And also on the Instagram page and Facebook pages, there'll be lots of fitness tips going up, just like short image fitness tips, which can sort of help. And if anyone needs any questions answering about the actual business itself and launch dates or anything, then just pop me a message on either my personal or the business page itself. So I'd be more than happy to answer. But yeah, really looking forward to starting that and hoping it then leads on to something else in the future. So
brilliant, awesome. They sound like some wicked goals, and I'm sat here now, I'm thinking how cool it will be to look back at this podcast episode in a year or two time and think how far Supsbox has come, because I'm excited I'm pumped, and I know that it's definitely going to be a successful thing. So
it's weird because I've already, like, since starting it, I've already got a few more ideas brewing as well. So it's ignited a fire in me. Nice. From loads of different people. That's the good thing about bodybuilding. It's a very positive sport, and then it can relay in your other areas of life, like the consistency, and you've got all the friends around you to help as well. So it's definitely a great sport to get into.
Yeah, for sure. Good man. So I'd like to obviously let you have a chance to tell all the viewers where they can find you, where they can follow you. And so basically give all your details away in terms of Facebook pages, Instagram account. I'm not sure if you're on Snapchat or Twitter or anything like that. Just fire them away, and then people can find them. And I'll basically put the links in the description.
That's fine. I mean, I've got my my personal Instagram page, which is Gadd Fitness, and the actual business page for Supsbox, which is just Supsbox, which is SUPS Box. Okay. The logo is a black logo with white writing in the middle, so it's quite simple to find. And then it's the same for Facebook as well. I haven't got a sports page on Facebook. I've just got my personal one, which is just Jack Gadd. Cool. And I think the photo is me posing in some changing rooms. And then it's the same for Supsbox. I'm not really most active on Snapchat and Twitter. I don't actually have a Twitter account, but it's something I probably will look at getting up into the future. And possibly the Snapchat more as well. That would be good to get into. It's just phone battery dies in about 5 seconds as soon as I start using Snapchat, which I'm sure you know the problem anyway.
Yeah, it does. Cool, man. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jack. I'd like to add at the end of this podcast that this is actually the third or fourth time that me and Jack have tried to record this. So if you've hung about, thank you for one. And also thank you very, very much to Jack for being so patient and hanging around for this, because
My pleasure, man.
last night was not the most fun of evenings trying to connect to Wi-Fi and record this for you guys. So yeah, but we've done it. We're going to upload this, and I will see you guys back for episode 4. But for now, I'll let Jack check out, and then we'll end things.
Right, thanks for having me, guys. Cheers.
No worries. See you later.
Bye.